listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
All right, what is up? And welcome along to another Straight to Video podcast. This is episode 149 of the show. We have one more before Christmas, then the show will be taking a break for a couple of weeks. But don't worry, I will be back. But in the meantime, why not catch up with any chats you might have missed over the festive period? I will be signing off, though, in a few days with a really fun Christmas episode, so make sure not to miss that. So on today's show, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome, without doubt, the one and only Krusher Joule to the Straight to Video podcast. I'm sure, like myself, many of us became fans of Krusher during his Krusher's Cosmos section on the weekly late-night rock and metal programs Raw Power and Noisy Mothers back in the 1990s. This was, of course, years before YouTube and even before MTV was easily accessible in our homes, so this one-hour blast of hard rock tunes was totally essential viewing, and Krusher made sure to make the most of it by giving us a weekly dose of Krusher abuse and laughs along with his trusty companion Bullseye. What some of you may or may not know, though, is that Krusher was already deep in the world of heavy metal at this point and without doubt played a major role in some of the genre's most iconic bands and their imagery. Over the years, Krusher would design the album covers for such classic records as Black Sabbath's Born Again, Ozzy Osbourne's Diary of a Madman, and he would also work alongside Derek Riggs to create the incredible Iron Maiden Live After Death sleeve, my first real heavy metal album if I remember correctly. Not only that, Krusher was the art director of Kerrang magazine during the 80s and early 90s and designed the logo we all love and remember from back in the day. These days, many of us have caught Krusher as a compere at some of the UK's premier metal festivals, and it's always a joy to hear him on the stage giving as much foul language and tales of rock and roll as we would all expect. What you might hear from this chat is that Krusher is perhaps a little more quieter and subdued than normal. We've been trying to hook up this talk for a few months. Got a date in the diary, then a few days before, Krusher took to Facebook to drop something of a health bombshell. I wasn't sure if he would still be up for chatting, but shit, the guy's a metal legend, of course he was. We talk about everything that's been going off over the past few weeks and months, and of course we dive well back into his amazing heavy metal career, and he was a joy to have on the show. If you want to learn even more about Krusher, then he's always chatting and updating his page on Facebook, or you can visit his website at krusher.co.uk. Of course, that's Krusher with a K. Before our chat, I want to give some love to my mates over at Dead Skull Coffee for all the great support over the past year, and they continue to give you, the listener, 15% off any order through their website. I would bet if you're listening as this show comes out, you might just have time to grab some before Christmas, so head on over to deadskullcoffee.co.uk and add the discount code STV on checkout. Also, a shout to our newest patron, Nick Addison, for joining some of the favourite people on the Straight to Video Patreon page. Everyone who is part of this fun little community gets a bonus podcast, early heads up on guests, and even some exclusive merchandise not available anywhere else. And all the info can be found over at patreon.com/STVpod. Alright, let's do this. It's time to rock hard, rock heavy, and most certainly rock animal as we dive into my Straight to Video chat with the one and only Krusher Joule.
Maximism! Along with the least encroachment of the wicked enemy and every phantom and diabolical legion, you're coming with me! This is Maximism!
Krusher, thanks so much for chatting with me here on the show. What I want to do, I want to dive right back into your early career because there's so much cool stuff way before Raw Power and Noisy Mothers, which perhaps a lot of people don't realise. So you've spent a large part of your career in London working as a freelance designer, art director at Kerrang, and then moving into radio and TV work. Where did you grow up, though? Are you, like, originally from the Malvern area? Because I know you used to go and watch a lot of gigs there.
I lived around that area until I was 18, and then I moved to London. But I was originally born in Stockport, but my parents moved around an awful lot.
All right, you're proper up north then for a while. Well, North Midlands.
Yeah. I'm a northern boy, yeah. And, I lived in Wales for quite a while in a pub with my grandparents, because my dad was on the road a lot. So me and my mum lived with my grandparents for a while, which was brilliant, living in a pub.
Yeah. When was your first pint then, your first official pint?
Oh, God, when I was about 13, 14.
Yeah.
But I was only about 4 or 5 when I lived in the pub.
What kind of things were on your radar as a young kid? Did art and drawing always interest you?
Yeah, I love comics, Marvel and DC comics. I grew up on the English, The Eagle.
You was a Dan Dare fan then, was you?
Yeah, Dan Dare and Boyzone. I think there's one called Boyzone. But I remember my grandparents in Stockport, actually, they used to buy me, again, this is when I was very, very young, a comic called Play Hour. Probably doesn't even exist now. But yeah, that was my first introduction. And yeah, I always loved comics. I loved that in-your-face graphic sort of stuff.
Yeah. Did you start like copying the comics and stuff like that, or drawing your favourite characters?
I did actually. Yeah, no, I've actually got one. I've got a Batman that I did. It's about 5 pages of a Batman, my own story, which is absolutely crap. I used to sort of copy them a bit. Art was the only thing I was any good at, to be quite honest. So that's what I stuck at, really.
When did music hit your radar? Did bands like the Beatles or the Stones make much of an impression on you?
Yeah. Oh, my mum, she loved the Stones and the Beatles. And I remember the Yardbirds. She was a great Yardbirds fan. And she had loads of singles that, I listened to. But yeah, for me, it was when about 15. Well, no, I was 13, 14 when I started listening to, I think it was like John Peel was the person everybody listened to back then. And I think it was 15 when I went to my first gig at Malvern Winter Gardens, which would have been, 69. And I saw bands like Taste, Deep Purple, Yes, Caravan, Black Sabbath. I saw them all, basically. I saw T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex, or they came T-Rex. But yeah, I saw them all. I think apart from who I'd like to have seen up that close was Zeppelin and The Who. But I think more or less everybody else that I was influenced by or loved, I was lucky enough to see them.
Is it Sabre Dance by Love Sculpture and Dave Edmunds being one of those moments where the sound really transitioned?
Yeah, I think it's got to be mid to late 60s. But yeah, no, I remember, even back then, I think they had like the top 20 singles that they would play every week. I think it was a Sunday. And I remember I used to lie in the bath listening to it. And that came on, the Love Sculpture one by Dave Edmunds. It was actually called Sabre Dance by a band called Love Sculpture, who was Dave Edmunds. Yeah, it was like a breath of fresh air compared to all the other shit that was going on. Although I say it was shit, it was to me shit then. But to me now, I listen to those songs and I realise they're bloody great songs.
That got in your head when you didn't realise it.
Yeah. Dave Edmunds, again, I was lucky. Dave Edmunds was a local boy, actually. He did a lot of stuff at Rockfield Studios in Monmouth. Everybody used to record there. He was like big mates with Robert Plant and that. But yeah, I remember when I was at Hereford College of Art. I don't think it was our do. I think it was the Tech College next door, but they got Dave Edmunds in for, I think it was a Christmas knees up. And yeah, fuck me, it was brilliant.
And that's like that song, Sabre Dance, if no one's heard it, if no one knows it by name, if they put it on YouTube, they'll know immediately which track it is.
Yeah, it's a piece of classical music by a guy called Khachaturian, which I think it's actually is originally called Sabre Dance. But yeah, it's a piece of classical music that he just rocked up.
Sounds great, it really does. How was it seeing those bands in that environment, like seeing like Deep Purple at the Malvern Winter Gardens? Was you like in from that moment, like, I need more of this? Life
transforming, it really was, yeah. I remember specifically Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, walking away from those and thinking, yeah, I don't know what exactly, what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be in the music industry, yeah.
Where did you used to buy your early records from? Did you have a local record shop?
There was a place in Malvern, but first album I bought was, believe it or not, Traffic, Dear Mr. Fantasy, followed by Tyrannosaurus Rex, Unicorn. I'm not sure what years they came out, but I wasn't a prolific album buyer because they were, I couldn't really afford them. But obviously, when I could, I've got an incredible record collection.
Before you started getting them sent for free.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. Then it became an enormous record collection.
Man. Did you ever think you could make a living out of creating these album sleeves? You're getting the copies of the albums of your favourite bands. When did it click that you thought, oh, maybe this is a job that somebody does?
Do you know what? I'd never really. It wasn't until about 1977 that by then I had a girlfriend whose dad set me up as a freelance, self-employed with my own studio. He worked for Total Oil and he was also involved in the boxing world. He made sure that I had enough work to pay the rent and all that. But I then decided to go around the record companies, show them my work. None of the majors were interested, but there was a label called The Label, which was run by a couple of guys and a guy called Dave Goodman, who was the original producer for the Sex Pistols. They gave me my first single cover, which was for an EP by a punk band called Eater. It's called Get Your Yo-Yos Out. And from that, for the label, I did, there's quite a bit of punk stuff. There was a reggae band, Tribesman. I did quite a few covers for Tribesman. And then through that, I got kind of, again, independent labels like back then Cherry Red. I got a few compilation album covers. But my first big album cover was for Hawkwind Live 79. And that was because I'd done some work for Motorhead. Motorhead's manager, who also managed Hawkwind, he said, well, do you want to, if you want to have a go at it, have a go at it. And if we like it, we'll use it. And if we don't, we'll give you a rejection fee. And yeah, that was it. Basically, that was my first cover. And it was also through Doug Smith, who was his manager, and his wife, Eve, who she had a merchandising company in the same office. And I did a lot of merchandising for them, not just for Motorhead, but for bands like Ted Nugent, unfortunately, now that he's such a racist, conservative bastard. April Wine, Gamma Ray.
Did you do something for Sammy Hagar as well?
Yeah, I did a first solo tour over here. Did the programme, did a poster for it. And through them, I met Finn Costello, who is the guy who'd done the Kiss Alive album covers and Deep Purple's Burn. They were talking to Eve about a Rush tour programme, which I ended up doing the Rush tour programme. I think I also designed a T-shirt and maybe a few bits of merchandise for them. I think I've still got a T-shirt somewhere. And through Finn, he then said, look, I've done the first Ozzy Blizzard of Oz cover. Next one's coming up. Do you want to be involved? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. What's it called? And I'll come up with some ideas. And he goes, Diary of a Madman. And I basically came up with the rough ideas for it. And he made it into the picture.
Can you talk us through a little how you would work back then? Because obviously it's way before computers. Was it all like cut and paste style, hand-drawn and photographed?
Yeah. Basically, you'd have a brainstorming session down the pub and then you'd go away. They're called magic markers, felt tip pens, You just rough ideas, you just draw them up. Some of them were absolutely dreadful. I think there were about 2 or 3 I did for Diary of a Madman. They're roughs. I mean, they really are just roughs. And you look at it and, Finn will go, right, well, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that. And then obviously it's put to, then it was Don Arden. I don't think he gave a toss, basically. It was like, yeah, just do the cover. And if we like it, we like it. If we don't, we'll get someone else to do it. And so there was very little output from the record company or the record companies I worked for originally. Thank fuck. That's why I won't do any album covers anymore, because basically either the record company wants to get involved or the band themselves go, yeah, it's great, but, can you change this? It's like, no, fuck off, I can't change anything. If you want me to do an album cover, I'll do an album cover for you, and it's my album cover. I'm not going to fucking change anything. I'm a fucking arrogant bastard like that. And that's why I won't do anymore, because people want to change things. It's like, fuck off.
What's the story behind the scribbled handwriting on the Diary of a Madman thing? Because that was a real last-minute thing.
It was. I literally did get a phone call from Jet Records officers saying, we're sending a cab over to pick up the artwork. And I'd virtually finished it, but I fucked up on the hand lettering. I did the hand lettering very large, but I don't know why I did it, but for some reason I did it on 2 bits of card. And I think I got all of it apart from one song. And then I kind of had to cut it all up to put into the area. And instead of filling a square, there was like that much left at the bottom, which was just white space.
Just not scaled correctly or something like that.
That's right, yeah. Because I'd done it in 2 bits. I mean, in an ideal world, what you would do, which I did for Black Sabbath Born Again, you do it all on one board and you pencil it out so you know that it's going to fit exactly. And how the fuck I ever did that, I don't know. But yeah, with the Aussie one, I completely fucked up. So yeah, I had this space and I was working it out. I was thinking, well, on a bad day, I've probably got about 20 minutes, but hopefully, because it's in the daytime, rush hour traffic and all that, I might have a bit longer. And I literally just went down. There's a pencil, I don't know what the fuck it's called anymore, but when they scan it, it doesn't show up, right? So you can draw all these lines. And I quickly drew all these lines across. And I just scribbled, filled it with scribble. I thought, oh, that looks, fucking magic, bollocks, spells like that, bollocks. And I mean, it became a big talking point of the album, because in America, when I went over to do Speak of the Devil, I went to, I think it was still Jet Records offices then, but Sharon was living there looking after it for her father. But anyway, I remember going over there and she pulled out a video with this evangelist preacher, from the TV, going on about Satan and rock music, blah, blah, blah. And he pulls out the cover and he goes, talking about Satan, pulls out the inside sleeve and points to it and goes, that is the hand of Satan. And it's like, yeah, brilliant.
No, it's the hand of Krusher, but whatever you say.
I am the hand of Satan.
Amazing. You mentioned it a second ago, and perhaps one of your most well-known pieces is the Born Again album cover by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Didn't Geezer Butler comment that the initial concept was shit, but great?
Actually, it was the other way around. He says, it's great, but it's fucking shit.
What a compliment. That'd be a good backprint for a T-shirt.
I think Geezer got the final vote in it. I know Bill Ward hated it. Ian Gillan never even saw it until it was done. But there was I've been officially told there was a meeting, and there was Don Arden, David Arden, who's Don's son, Tony Iommi and Geezer were at the meeting. And Tony, I believe, was neither here nor there. Yeah, it's all right, which is kind of the way Tony is. And Jesus goes, yeah, it's great, but it's fucking shit. Don Arden goes, you're right, it is great. And it's so great that I've already had a costume made for a little person to wear on stage.
Wow.
And it was like, all right, well, they're going to fucking do it then. And I never wanted to do it. I didn't want to do that. I just put the worst idea I could think of. Because Don Arden had threatened to shoot my dog when I had the meeting about the album. And it was like, right, I wouldn't say it to his face because he would have probably shot me. But it was like, yeah, fuck you, mate. I'm not going to fucking do this album cover. I'm just going to come up with some shit and you'll give me a rejection fee and I'll walk away.
You never know.
And it's turned out, and I banged it out in a night. I was on a load of speed and I even took some acid at the end of it just to keep me awake. But it was literally all banged out in a night because I had to have it done by a certain date. And if I had it done by a certain date, they'd pay me almost twice as much as I had 2 dates. I could have come in late with it. But if I came in late with it, I would have got less money. But yeah, and I remember going out in there fucking off my face, with the artwork, and they're going, yeah, great, lovely.
And it becomes iconic.
And it's now, it really is.
You began work for Kerrang in 1982, I believe, after taking the initiative and contacting them yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did. Again, it was because by then my portfolio, I had an Aussie album under my sleeve. I think I actually started working for them January 83. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was January 83. But it was December, I think, 82. And yeah, I phoned Alan Lewis, the editor, and said, look, I'm freelance, I'm doing this and this, I like doing hand lettering. Would you look at my work? He said, yeah, I'm not going to promise you any work, but come in. And we had a great meeting down at the pub.
Always at the pub?
Always. Everything got done at the pub back then. He asked me to go away, not to redesign the logo, but while they're inside, where it says singles and albums and charts and like news, they call them mastheads, right? And he said, go away, redesign the mastheads, right? Let's have a look at them and we'll take it from there. And the first thing I did was actually redid the logo. when I got back home, I thought, right, yeah, that's it, fuck it. I did everything in that crinkly writing. And I went in and I showed him the mastheads, and he goes, I fucking love them. And then I said, what about this? And I showed him the logo. He goes, oh, right, okay, yeah, we'll pay you for this. And I thought, right, that's it. You know, I've done my bit here. And I see Kerrang has restarted using it, the fuckers. It was really upsets me. Anyway, I then got a call from him about a week or so later, and he goes, how do you fancy coming in to design the magazine? And I said, I will, but it'd be on a freelance basis. He says, that's fine. And I think it was back then, it was on a fortnight, it was fortnightly. So, you know, as soon as I had the hang of designing magazines and stuff, I've done that stuff in the past. But it's a fairly slow process because we didn't have computers. It's all actually cut and paste properly. You know, you put some fucking sticky stuff on the back and paste it, put all the instructions. And you know what? When I think of it now, I honestly don't know how we fucking did it.
Yeah, because it was quite a rock and roll team you had there.
It was an amazing team. And you know what really saddens me is that I lost Malcolm Dome and Pete Makowski. I'm really heartbroken to lose both of them, but Malcolm especially because he had such a great memory. You know, maybe one day I will write a book, but my memories of Kerrang are very few because it was so intense and it was so full on. I mean, it wasn't, you know, we weren't just working, we were partying hard. And I tell you for a fact, bands like Slayer, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Faith No More, ZZ Top, they would all come in to visit the office, not because they were being interviewed, because they knew it was party central as far as fucking rock was concerned.
Was there any other magazines in that building?
Yeah, there was Sounds. Sounds was above us.
How did they compare to you guys?
Well, they rocked in their own way, but because we were the heavier rock, we fucking... No, do you know what? There were some fucking animals on Sounds. Drink me under the table, but not anymore, because they're probably all dead. But I think Record Mirror was there as well. But yeah, that's when we were in Covent Garden. And yeah, we were like at the back of us was the Opera House. Well, we were just above Covent Garden Tube Station, and we were just away from the Opera House. And there were two pubs. Sadly, can't remember the name of either of them. One was really small, and the other was bigger. But I mean, you get us, you get all the rock people and the opera people in the pub. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Didn't there used to be a venue there as well, which is now the Apple Store near Covent Garden? It used to be quite a famous venue.
There was what it was now. What the fuck was it called?
Was it the Rock Garden?
Yeah, it might be the Rock Garden. It was down, and it was tiny. Honestly, it was like someone's fucking cellar, which I think it was, basically. It might have been two cellars knocked into one. And I remember, yeah, I tell you, I saw Talking Heads down there. Bloody Talking Heads. But yeah, I mean, that was a great venue. There was also a club. The Roxy was quite close to that. That was a famous club. Covent Garden at that point was amazing. I mean, I won't even go back to London anymore because I've seen it change so much. I mean, we worked in Carnaby Street for a while, and even then Carnaby Street had some cred. But I mean, the last time I walked down Carnaby Street, it was like, fuck me. Talk about ripping the soul out of fucking a historic place like Carnaby Street. I mean, I'd have loved to walk down Carnaby Street in the 60s. You know, all the bands, everybody was down there, you know, because that's where they got their clothes made.
How much sleep did you get back in them days?
Not a lot.
Did you ever have to pull any 24 hours because the deadline's going to gigs, partying, and shit, best go straight in?
Yeah, oh God, yeah. I mean, when I was, this was later on, but in the 89, 90, when I was doing the Hippodrome, I'd have to, I know I shouldn't say it, but I'd have to buy a couple of grams of Coke, you know, off the local dealer in the fucking club before I left. Because I'd be driving straight back home to drop my shit off, take the dog out, and then drive straight to Kerrang. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd have been up more than fucking, I'd be getting on for 48 hours, you know, several times. It didn't really matter back then. It'd kill me now.
So was you still working on album covers at the same time? Because Live After Death was obviously while you was at Kerrang.
Yeah, well, Live After Death definitely came about through working for Kerrang. That came through, unbelievably, Ross Halfin, who absolutely hates me now. But he got me to design the tour program for Power Slave. And I think it was through doing that, they really liked it. And they said, you want to have a go at designing Live After Death? I think when I was there, I actually did the Born Again one as well. There was loads of tour programs that I was banging out whilst I was at Kerrang.
Do you ever wonder how you managed to fit it all in?
I look back on it now and I seriously cannot believe how I did it and lived the party lifestyle that I did.
How was the transition for you from art and graphic designer into TV and radio presenter and, let's say, becoming a fully fledged personality within the rock community? Did that come naturally to you, this larger-than-life persona?
Yeah, I've always been a show-off. No, wanting to be the centre of attention, yeah. But not so much anymore.
You did okay at Stone Dead earlier this year.
Yeah, no, thank you. I found it really easy, to be quite honest. And I think when I got the BBC thing, I'd done some pirate radio. And I just found it one of those things that it just seemed natural, as did the TV. I mean, if we didn't do it in one take, the TV, we were all really disappointed because normally, and not just the bits when I was on the Cosmic Couch, we filmed those in the morning at the offices of Music Box in the centre of London. And that was hilarious. I mean, we used to use the couch from the reception. So they had to carry it downstairs where there's an office full of people working, right? But there was an area we could set it up and they could set the lights up. And it would come to do the shoot and they'd go to everybody, shut the fuck up and take your phones off the hook, right? And then, if I got it in one take, it was like fantastic because they could all get back to work. And we then had a really long lunchtime to go out on the piss.
The Bullseye with you all the time while you're out on the piss?
Not all the time, but most of the time, yeah, most of the time. And occasionally someone would forget to take the phone off. And I love that because I would always go, leave it in. Well, I wouldn't say leave it. I'd just go, if that's my mum, tell her I'm coming for Sunday lunch or whatever, more or less we used to do them all in one take.
Those programmes like Raw Power and later Noisy Mothers had such an impact for a lot of rock and metal fans.
You know what? I never realised that until a lot later. People still get in contact saying, you were the person that introduced me to all these bands. I just thought I'm just the presenter. In all honesty, hand on heart, the person who was choosing those bands, although she knew that I loved the heavier stuff, Pantera and Slayer, etc., Machine Head, Sepultura, was Anne Kirk, who was my co-presenter. She was a co-producer on that, and I think her and the director, they chose most of the bands, and all I'd say is and here's a video from so-and-so, and put a few funny remarks in. But yeah, no, people still say that, you actually changed my life, it's like, bloody hell.
That was the great thing about, let's say, the rock and metal community back then. I don't know how it is now, but everybody knew what every kind of style of music was within, Anne liked all the softer stuff, but you had the heavy stuff as well, so everybody knew what was going off.
They got that balance absolutely brilliantly. They really did. And that's why that show was so successful, because it did, okay, you might be into your Bon Jovi, I'm not saying all the ladies out there love the cock rock, but they might, they don't oh yeah, we've got to watch this horrible heavy stuff for a few minutes, but we know at some point there's going to be some very glam.
Yeah, but you'd recognise it when you went into the dance, because when you went to Rock City, even though it's not music you brought or listened to, you recognise the heaviest stuff because you'd heard you play it on Raw Power or Noisy Mothers or whatever.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. You've done lots of comparing at legendary festivals such as Monsters of Rock, and you were invited out to America on the Ozfest tour in '99. How did the US react to Krusher?
They were all right, actually. Yeah, they were very accepting. It was good. Did
you do a lot of stuff with Pantera over there?
Yeah, that was 2000. That was the Ozfest of 2000. Yeah, that was fucking
carnage.
That was brutal. Yeah, it was carnage. I don't remember much about it, to be honest. And it was sad because I could tell that they were breaking up at that point. It was all to do with Phil's back, because Phil had a very bad back, but he was still putting 100% into the performance, and he's coming off stage, and I saw what he was taking as far as pain relief for it, and it would have killed an elephant, what he was taking, and he was taking that every other night. to get him through the pain. That tour was, they were still very loving and together, but I know because they wanted to continue the tour after the Ozfest, and that's where Phil wanted to go and have the operation. He knew he had to have an operation, and they were saying, no, wait till after the tour, have the operation. And he was like, no, fuck it.
So what's next for you, Krusher? I know you made quite a big announcement the other day with what you're going through at the moment. Is that just kind of taking one step at a time?
Yeah. I've been diagnosed with a very aggressive prostate cancer, and apparently it's treatable.
Is there anything you can't do in a rock and roll way, though? Because you even found out about that because everyone was buying you a drink at Bloodstock or something.
Well, it wasn't just the drink. There was a lot of cocaine involved as well, which I honestly hadn't touched in years. And unbelievably, it was a Thursday. The first day I was there. And because I got a bad foot, it was killing me. And everyone said, have a drink, have some of this, that'll take the pain away. And I got to bed just after midnight. And I remember waking up about an hour later and going to the fucking bog for a piss. And it's like, fucking hell, I'm pissing blood. But I'd done it in the past. I knew you just stop drinking for a few days and it'll go away. But it didn't. It lasted for 3 weeks. So I thought, better go see a doctor about it. And that's when and if I hadn't, I wouldn't have known.
That's the most rock and roll way to find out something like this.
Yeah. You've got prostate cancer, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I know everyone's ride around and wishing you all the best with it and all that kind of thing.
Oh, it's been unbelievable. The reactions. Phil Anselmo's emailed me, and Corey Clark from Warrior Soul. There's loads of bands and stuff. The actual people who used to watch Noisy Mothers and I suppose fans of mine, their support has been unbelievable. It's been outstanding.
And that just proves it. It's always been a great community. No matter how it changes over the years, the whole rock and metal community, I think the heart of it is and always will be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you talking to us. When I messaged you the other day, I know we've been trying to set it up for a while. Then you made the announcement. I thought, is he going to be still up for it? So I appreciate you spending some time talking to us about it.
Yeah. I'm just a bit tired, that's all, because I'm on hormone treatment. I had an injection last week. Thankfully, the only side effect I've noticed so far is tiredness. But that might be the alcohol. No, I'm not drinking. I'm having a beer now.
Just a loosener. I'll let you go, Krusher, but thanks for talking to us. Can we have a Krusher sign-off?
Yes. So, druggies, you've been listening to Straight to Video with Rob Lane and myself, The Krusher, coming to you live between your naked steaming eyes and ears. That's a lie, actually. It's not live. But till the next time, don't forget, rock hard, rock heavy, rock animal, and if you can, go into Mummy's purse and get all those crimpy bits of paper. Yeah!
You're an absolute legend, mate. Everybody's thinking about you and sending you lots of love. You take care.
Pleasure, Rob.
You have a Merry Christmas, mate.
You too. Bye.
How about that? Krusher Joule right here on the Straight to Video podcast. I want to send a big thank you to Krusher for all the great stories, and as I'm sure all of you will agree, to send him all the love and best wishes in getting well and back out to spread metal to the masses. If you were maybe wondering what the music to this week's episode was, then that was the track Maximism from WVKEAF, which stands for Wurzel, Violent and Krusher Evil as Fuck. That's Wurzel as in the Motorhead guitarist and Johnny Violent, and it was a project formed in 1995 which also featured an out-of-this-world version of Van Halen's Jump. Alright, I want to send many thanks to all of you lot for your support throughout this year. As mentioned earlier, there will be one more episode before Christmas, episode 150, and it's a really fun festive chat which I think you'll enjoy. Then I'll be having a couple of weeks away from the show, but if you want to catch up on any you've missed, they're all over at stvpod.com or on your favourite podcast platform. And why not introduce some friends to the show if they have some time off over the holidays? I would love to get some more new listeners on board and let them hear what you guys already know all about. Okay, that's all for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I look forward to chatting again soon.